What's happening, my YouTube peeps? It's Matt Ogus. In this video, I'm going to talk about the new Nike Romaleos 2s that were released in early 2012. First, guys, I'm going to talk about weightlifting foot gear in general. Second, I'm going to talk about this actual shoe, sizing, what it's made of, etc. And lastly, let's go over some footage of my last squat workout, and I'm going to talk about my experience with the new shoes. First, let's look at a regular shoe. Right here, I'm holding a Lugs Birdman, very old shoe. But anyways, you can tell right off the bat, it's not completely flat. You see this right here? That's going to make you rock when you're lifting weights. You do not want to rock when you're trying to go for a squat, a deadlift, or for example, an overhead press. You're rocking, it's going to mess you up, it's going to screw you up, you might get injured. As well as being rocky, this actual shoe is very, very mattress-like. It's almost like you bounce with every single rep, and with most casual shoes, that's just the way it is. Next, we have running shoes, and you already know, just like the freaking casual shoes, also bouncy as hell. It's like it's like you're standing on a mattress. That's the last thing you want. You don't want your shoes to give with every rep of your overhead press or your squat or your dead. Take your running shoes and save them for running. Oh Lord! It's the gold standard of weightlifting, the Converse Chuck Taylor. Everyone who lifts weights owns a pair of these. Why? Because pretty much they're flat, although it looks like, it kind of comes up, but they're pretty much flat. They're pretty hard soled. They're not extremely thick in the sole. That's pretty much what you want, okay? In a weightlifting shoe, you want something that's going to keep you on the ground, that's not going to make you bounce, and it's going to stay planted. And that's pretty much it for a weightlifting shoe. Tons of people swear by Converses. Tons of people deadlift, squat, and do all sorts of lifting in these kind of shoes. Another popular style of shoe is the Vibram 5-finger. And actually, I love this shoe. It's even thinner soled than any shoe you can pretty much buy. It's like you're wearing a sock. Look at this. This is the 5 fingers. I do enjoy doing my squats, doing my deadlifts, doing pretty much any sort of lifting in this shoe. Just make sure you don't drop anything on it. But you definitely are on the ground flat. You're stable. I mean, as long as you get the rubber kind. And I do recommend these shoes if you want to try that kind of thing out. I do like to run in these. And overall, I think they do make a good weightlifting shoe. Last but not least, foot fetish fans, pepper your Angus. Barefoot, baby. Now, I know most people use socks because the gyms would just go crazy if you were just barefoot in their gym. But barefoot is a great way to train when you're doing something like a squat or a deadlift or a front squat, etc. There's no give. You're not on a mattress. As long as the ground is concrete or pretty hard, pretty flat, you're on a flat surface, you're stable, you're secure, you're grounded. Given the choice, it's probably much smarter to deadlift or squat barefoot than to use a shoe like this or a shoe like this. Last but not least, you have the Olympic weightlifting shoe or the squat shoe. What is it? It's a raised heel shoe. The heel is elevated. Generally, the bottom is hard and flat. You hear that? Hard and flat. It's pretty damn stable all throughout, and it's actually heavy as fuck. It's pretty heavy. The Romaleos ones were even heavier. But what about this shoe makes it special, okay? Now, this is something you could try for yourself. You could stand on a hill. I just want you to imagine this, or go ahead and do this. Stand on a hill, and let's just say it looks like this, okay? Now, to kind of demonstrate what a squat shoe does, stand on that hill facing this way. So imagine your toes are up and your heels down because you're standing on the hill, and try to squat. It'd be pretty hard to get any depth because, of course, your ankle is angled up like this. Now turn the other way, face this way. You'll notice that you can squat amazing when you're facing downhill, for most people at least. Sort of the same concept, okay? I'm not trying to get all sciencey here. So imagine that. I mean, that's an extreme. So imagine flat foot compared to like this. That elevation of the heel for most people, for most people's mechanics, not everyone, definitely not everyone, but for most people, an Olympic weightlifting shoe, squat shoe, is going to help them get easier depth. It's going to feel more comfortable. And what else does it do? It really engages the knee extensors, the quads. It really engages them. It it stimulates them, it activates them when you're doing things like squats and front squats. Much more in comparison to when you're doing them flat-footed, barefoot, etc. So why would someone get a shoe like this? Well, maybe you wanted more quad stimulation. Maybe you wanted something to help you hit better depth because you had a depth problem. Or perhaps you wanted something because you're afraid that you lean too much. You have too much trunk tilt or tilt forward. Your trunk goes forward when you squat too much. This just naturally is going to help you stay more vertical because it puts more of the weight in such a way that you kind of you just stay more vertical. That's just the way it is when you're doing a squat with this kind of shoe. And for many people, that can relieve a lot of lower back stress. So for some people, that might be a lifesaver. So it's really your choice whether or not to actually buy a shoe like this. But anyways, let's talk about the shoe in particular. I'm going to include in the description box a study that was done, and I'm not sure if you'll actually be able to find this study because you might need to use a college, university, or particular online encyclopedia databases to access this. But for many of you people, you'll be able to access it just fine. So let's take a look at this here shoe. Okay, I got the all black. I didn't have a choice of what color I wanted because I wanted it now instead of waiting for all the colors to come out. But you can see the Nike swoosh on both sides. I think it looks pretty damn sexy. You got these Velcro straps right here. So after you lace it, you could even tighten it further with these straps. Laces, pretty cool. They come with the holes and not the hooks, although you do have these hooks for the Velcro. But I hate shoes with the metal hooks for the laces. I hate those. I definitely like these holes. You can see here, elevated heel, and a comparison to the first Romaleos, this is 50 grams lighter, I've read, and I'm not sure how much that feels, but when you compare this to a regular shoe such as the Converse, it's about, I wouldn't say, maybe twice as heavy. Yeah, it might be about twice as heavy as this shoe. I don't want to go downstairs and weigh it. Just take my word for it. It's a little bit heavier. Now, it really snugs around the heel. It definitely wraps around the heel. And in fact, the whole foot, it's really, really just shaped to the foot. Now, I don't know how this is for people with these like freaking gargantuous feet that are so wide. But for me, I have a pretty average, general average foot. And it fits just fine in this shoe. It's really interesting to walk because you know, like regular shoes, you go like this because there's bend, but there's no bend to this shoe. That's one of the best things about this shoe. You transfer power directly through the foot, not to the foot, to the freaking mattress, like most shoes. It's just straight through the foot, to the ground. So when you're squatting, front squatting, Olympic lifting, it just direct transfer from, you know, the legs, ankle, foot, ground, and nothing between. Okay, that's why this shoe is awesome. Now let's talk about sizing for a second, because I'm sure everyone's tripping about the sizes. I have a couple pairs of shoes here that might be able to help you understand what your sizing may be. Now let's start with the gold standard. I wear a size 7 Converse Chuck Taylor. Yes, a size 7. I don't know if that's big, small, whatever, but yeah, size 7. And generally Converse Chuck Taylors, the numbers are smaller because the shoe runs larger. That's the way it goes. So my size 7 Chuck Taylor is like my size 8 Nike, whatever the hell this is, or my size 8 Nike SBs. I have many pairs of this, and this just happens to be one that's laying around. Size 8 Nike, size 8 Nike Casual, size 7 Chuck Taylor, and all my Chuck Taylors are size 7s. What size do I use? My Nike Romaleos, 7.5. So I use the in-between point between my casual shoes, such as my casual Nikes, and my Chuck Taylors. So we got 7, 7.5, 8. That's the way I roll, okay? Now, if you're wondering my Vibrams, shit, I don't even know. Let me see if I can get that for you. Male 40. I wear a male 40 in Vibrams. Let's get back to the shoe. Very, very solid material. The heel is solid. This, it's not as solid as the heel. It's kind of like a leathery material. You have some fabric woven into the shoe. Over here, this is like some jelly sort of substance and this leathery substance. Over here, I don't even know, it's this meshy kind of fabric, kind of plushy. But on the inside, it's not like you're in a lavish forest of comfort in there. But honestly, it's not like you're in a concrete jungle. It's not hard everywhere. It's kind of in between. But when it comes to the bottom of the shoe, it's hard. It's hard as hell. So included in the shoe when you receive it is probably going to be the training sole. The training sole comes inside the shoe. It is not as hard as the competition sole, I'd say. Competition sole is the harder sole, and you actually should probably save this, they recommend, for the platform, for the competition day. So you don't wear it down, so you don't, break up the cushion, turn it into a mattress. This, it's not as hard as the competition sole, but it's pretty damn shapely, shapes around the foot pretty well, and it's hard. It's nothing like a regular pair of shoes. It's hard as hell. So we looked at a bunch of shoes. We looked at this shoe in particular, talked about it a little bit. Let's go see how it performs in the gym where it really matters.
Alright guys, this was my last warm-up set, just 275 pounds for a set of 3. Immediately, I'd just like to say these shoes are definitely heavier than your regular shoe. The Romaleos 2s are actually a little bit lighter, like I said, about 50 grams, lighter than the original Romaleos, but they're still definitely much heavier than a regular shoe. I'd say they're probably about double the weight of my green Converse shoes.
See, now this guy over here, we just had a little conversation about how he military presses what I bench.
Not really.
Just gotta say, he's an asshole.
Alright guys, this one was 325 for 3. Felt just as easy as 325 for 3 with a different pair of shoes or barefoot. One of the major differences with these squat shoes that I could feel is that the weight feels more in the front. It feels like less of a posterior chain sort of exercise. It feels like it's way much more on your quads than when doing a squat with a bare foot or with a kind of flat shoe. It kind of forces you to be more upright since more weight is in the front of you. Now here is my second set, my second work set, and this is with 80%, 1 rep max of 465 for 3. And it also felt just as easy as with my Converse or barefoot or with the Vibram. Even more so, I felt even more on my quads, and like my body was, more upright than how it would normally be as well. The main thing I noticed was that the difficulty of the squats, when comparing the Olympic shoes or the squat shoes with regular shoes or barefoot or flat foot, was that pretty much they were the same. It felt like the same difficulty, but I had a much greater range of motion when using the squat shoes. It felt much more mechanically friendly for me to go ass to grass when squatting with the Olympic shoes, with the squat shoes, compared to not. So throughout this video, I'm going to try to answer as many questions as possible that I've received on my Facebook. So anyways, this is my first heavy set. This is 90% of 465 pounds for 3 reps. It felt difficult because, well, anything over 400 pounds is pretty difficult for me. But it didn't necessarily feel harder or easier than when wearing my regular shoes or being barefoot or with my Vibrams. And you can tell here I'm like, I don't really know what I'm thinking. I'm kind of confused. I'm like, I don't really know what to say. Mateo was like, how was it? I was like, yeah, I don't really know. So that's really how I felt. So a guy named Bryce Thompson asked, why do I prefer Olympic shoes over flat or regular shoes? Honestly, this workout was to find out. I don't prefer Olympic shoes over barefoot or Vibrams or flat shoes yet. The whole point was for me to find out. That's what I'm going to be doing over these next few months, finding out if Olympic shoes, weightlifting shoes are going to be better for me in the long run. Now, a lot of people asked me if I felt it in my heels. They said that they didn't feel like they were pushing through their heels when doing this, and I can understand that viewpoint. I can understand that opinion. sometimes I did feel like that, and if and when I kind of leaned forward just a tad, I did feel like a lot of the weight kind of transferred to midfoot or even to, you know, the top of the toes, the toe area. But generally it was mostly in the heels still, as long as I didn't lean forward. I think on this last rep there was a slight bit of, you know, forward trunk lean on the way up, and yeah, I did feel it in like the midfoot, etc. Alright guys, I received many questions about DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. And first let's talk about the first squat session I had a week prior to this one. It was a deload squat session, which means very light weights. I worked my way up to 60% of my squat max, which was, I think it was 285 pounds for like 5 reps. After that I did 5 sets of 10 with like 185 pound front squats. So that's a lot of front squats, but yeah. The DOMS in my quads was so crazy, it hurt to walk. Like 2 days and 3 days after the session. It was incredible, it was crazy. And I also felt it in my glutes, so you know, it didn't take away from my glutes, that's for sure. Because I was hitting ass to grass. But it was so damn crazy. And after this session, I also had some, it wasn't as tense as the first time because, you know, I'm getting used to these squat shoes, but it was pretty damn crazy too. Now, the DOMS, the stimulation when it comes to the quads is just so much more incredible with wearing squat shoes or these, you know, Romaleos that I'm wearing compared to wearing nothing, or compared to wearing Vibrams or Converse Chuck Taylors. So definitely recommend trying these shoes if you're looking for more quad hypertrophy or stimulation. You'll notice among high bar squatters that squat shoes are pretty recommended, pretty common. And you'll notice among low bar squatters who will generally kind of lean forward, hips really far back. You'll notice that for them, you know, flat foot, Converse Chuck Taylors, barefoot works pretty well since they do lean forward, since the bar is low, since they're, you know, keep their hips back. It generally works in their favor to be flat foot, but that's not necessarily going to say that, you know, squat shoes couldn't help a low bar squatter. It could. It really depends on the individuals, their structure, their individual bone lengths. Depends on their body mechanics, etc. So it's possible for a low bar squatter to benefit from wearing squat shoes. Would it benefit all or the majority? I'm not sure. Oh man, it has never ever felt so damn natural to go straight ass to the grass than when I was wearing these Nike Romaleos 2s. These squat shoes made it feel so awesome, so easy to go ass to the grass, and so much damn stimulation in my quads. It was incredible, incredible. After 5 sets of, I did 5 sets total, like 3 sets of 10, and then a set of 8, and then a set of 7, something like that. It was crazy. Alright guys, quick conclusion to this video. I do like these squat shoes. I think they're worth it. I mean, a lot of people say, oh my god, they're so pricey. But in the long run, I do feel like I'm going to benefit from them, especially from more quad activation, stimulation, more hypertrophy in the end. I think I'll grow bigger quads in the long run from using these squat shoes and squatting. I definitely love them on front squats. That's hands down, hands down. It's like the purpose of a front squat. You know, you're really trying to hit your quads. I mean, that's why I love front squats. And these squat shoes just, oh my gosh, it was incredible. The DOMS, the way I could feel my quads really working, and you know, I was able to put up the weight easier than being flat-footed. When it came to the back squat, performance was pretty much the same. My depth was greater. I had more range of motion. And in fact, I kind of needed more range of motion. If I didn't go deeper than when I actually squat with these shoes, if I didn't go deeper than parallel, or slightly, if I didn't go deeper than slightly below parallel like I do with these, it felt weird and it felt harder. So it felt harder when I didn't squat as low when I used my squat shoes. Do I think they're worth it? They cost like $200. They cost about $200 or so, $210. I'm not really sure. The Romaleo ones are like $140, and I'm sure the Adidas are around $200. I think they're worth it. I think it's a good idea to invest in a shoe like this. I would only use this shoe when front squatting or squatting. or if I decide to take up the Olympic lifts, I might use this shoe on that. But I will not use this shoe to walk around. I'm not to use the shoe to do cardio. I would not use the shoe if I was going to do an overhead press or bench press or anything other than just the front squat and the back squat. That's it. Will I use my Chuck Taylors to squat in the future? We will see. I'm going to weigh things out. If come April 21st powerlifting meet, I for whatever reason I'm not digging the way I like my squat shoes, I'll do my Chuck Taylors for the back squat when I step on the platform. But so far, so good. I'm liking these squat shoes. If these next 3 or 4 squat workouts go well, actually I'm not sure if I'll have 4, probably 2 or 3 squat workouts until the meet. I'll use my squat shoes because I do like the way they felt. I like the way I perform, and I do think they're worth it. And let me see if there's any other questions real quick. I think I answered the majority of the questions that I got on Facebook. I'll post the link in the description box where you can find them. I think I bought them off, or my girlfriend bought them off Rogue Fitness, just the top of my head. No, I wouldn't use these for deadlifting, although for a very, very, very small majority of people, using squat shoes may help them on deadlifting. May. But the majority, I don't think they would. I do think squat shoes for the majority of people would help them on their squatting. I'm like 99.9% sure would help most people with their front squatting. And it really just depends on the body mechanics when it comes to back squatting. I think it would help for the majority of people. Not all people, the majority. So that's that. Thanks a lot for watching this video, guys. If you have any other questions, hit me up on my Facebook. I'll do my best to get back to them with either a message or a video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Peace.
Hey, quit being a little bitch!
August cake!
Yeah, motherfucker!